97% of people aren't a product of the product. When you drift away and you accommodate someone else's perspective, you become unattractive to your spouse, your children, your friends, and they start to see somebody who's a great actor.
How important is it to focus on building relationships with people that can help them rise to where they want to go?
I think it's being transparent with understanding where you're going. The formula for happiness is when your life condition equals your blueprint. You can change the life condition to match the blueprint. You will build a relationship so much deeper.
There's a lot of people that don't have that clear blueprint. How can they better build relationships with people?
Open up your phone book. Who does or does not know what it is that you do? Don't look for people across the country. Look for people that are within your own network already. Don't worry about what you're not doing enough of, and get excited about what you can do to make your life condition equal that blueprint.
Some people get discouraged in this journey of rising together.
It's more about, and you start rising together.
All right, we're here with Troy Aberle. Troy, welcome to We Rise Together.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here.
We've got so much, there's so much to cover. There's so much history. There's so many great things that we're going to talk about. Troy and I were talking one day. I'm like, I haven't had you on We Rise Together. I got to have you on We Rise Together. There's so much to talk about. He's like, set it up. Let's do it. So we're here. Troy's a dear friend of mine. Great mentor, coach. I mean, you kind of have, like, if I wrote down all the things that apply to me with you, it would be this really long list of things. Friend, coach, mentor. I mean, you fill a lot of, you got a lot of titles in there as far as the relationship that you and I have.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time together through a lot of wins and challenges, and it's been an honor.
There were days of happiness. There were days of crying. There were days of, it was just like, so those of you that are watching and that you're listening, welcome to We Rise Together. I'm so glad that you're here. And it's just an honor that you took the time to spend some time with me, spend some time with us. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're back, thank you again. And we like to spend this time to talk about how we rise together. And Troy and I met we were in a mastermind together. And it was, I always remember that one special day when there was a mastermind that was scheduled, but the person that ran the mastermind canceled it. But I don't think you got the word and I didn't get the word. And you remember we were there sitting, waiting for this thing to start. And then we found out that it was canceled. So you and I were like, well, you know what? Let's just hang out for a little bit. That was like the first time that we really spent a lot of one-on-one time together, is when that mastermind canceled. I don't know if you remember. You probably remember that.
Oh yeah, I know. It was a very intimate moment because it's like everybody didn't show up and we were sitting there. It was a Hallmark moment, Chris.
I like that. Kind of a Hallmark moment, a Norman Rockwell. Do you know who? I don't know. Troy's from Canada, so I got to be careful here. Norman Rockwell.
I think I know more about the United States than Canada.
I kind of have to remind him. I tell him, hey, we spent some time in Ohio. That's right before the United States. And my wife is like, Troy's not an idiot. He knows probably where Ohio is. You need to tell him. So, well, let's before we get in, I want to fire off some questions to you that talk about, we're going to talk about who helped you rise to where you're at and who was influential to you and who are those key players. And we'll talk about the importance of relationships and your feeling and your take on relationships and how we all, in essence, help each other rise together. But before we do that, give everybody a little bit of your backstory, talk about where you're from, and go into a little bit about what it is that you do, and just kind of tell us who Troy Aberle is. And let's start with that.
Oh, I love it. What, Chris, you didn't send me any questions ahead of time. So this is completely from my soul and my heart and unscripted. So
he's actually lying. I sent him a huge, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
No, he didn't. No, we like to, this is raw and unscripted, and we just like people to kind of speak from the heart. And so we'll get to those questions that I have for you, but tell us, who's Troy Aberle? Like, tell us where you're from, tell us about your family. I could easily do it, but I want to hear it from you.
Oh, so like you mentioned, my name is Troy Aberle. Some people call me Coach Troy. Mm-hmm. And, I've been here for 48 years, and I live between Calgary and the Rocky Mountains and the foothills. I live right in the forest. I grew up on the prairies, southeast of here, about 3.5 hours. And now today I live with my family in the foothills. And, We've got what I call heaven is where we live. And it's because of the journey I've gone through has brought me to where I live today. And I'm proud to say I'm a happily married man that has two young men in my family that are 17 and 14, Luke and Everett. And we homeschool our children now today. And so my wife and I work together not only in the business, but also at raising our children and, creating new paradigms for them that are quite different from the way that I was raised or my wife was raised. And so there's been a lot of really cool moments. And, throughout the journey, we've gone from, what would be, I think, a typical lifestyle and working hard. And I'd learned a lot of great work habits from my parents who worked multiple jobs and had a farm and, worked in oil and gas. My dad was part of, my mom was a nurse. And so, we learned a lot of ethics about working really hard. And so you take all of that, but I was so much more curious. I wanted to learn more and do more. And so I really became, infatuated, I'm going to use the word, for working with mentors that were living a lifestyle of what really inspired me. People like Tony Robbins or Chet Holmes, Bob Proctor, Brian Tracy, I could go on for, lists and lists of people, Dale Carnegie and whatnot. And so I became just obsessed with learning and studying people, really like a scientist, to look at the things that they had done, because all of them had talked about having a life that wasn't all that much different than mine, but being able to apply some of those things so I could learn, execute, and now today I get the privilege to inspire. So retired as a employee, but now fully embraced in a coaching and business strategy life where I get to work with entrepreneurs or executives and throughout many industries and walks of life. And I get to do that. And so, I really enjoy some key areas around agriculture business. I also love healthcare and trying to figure out how to make things a lot better for our whole world there. And, working with financial companies and the list goes on for a lot of different industries, Chris, but proudly today I stand before you as somebody who's learned a lot and still learning and executing as where I go and looking for where the success, can leave clues and where the failures do. And then bring that now to a place where I hope I can inspire people today at the fullest level from my heart and soul.
You encapsulate really good. I mean, we're going to get into this more about rising together, but you've worked with some of the greats. I mean, you did a little name dropping there, which is good. I wanted to go a little bit deeper on that, but you mentioned Tony Robbins, you've mentioned Bob Proctor. I know he has passed and is not with us anymore, but I know that you had an opportunity to, you did an interview with your boys with Bob Proctor, I think, right?
Yeah. And Brian is an amazing person, amazing friend
Bob's
as well.
son, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Bob and Brian were big pieces in our life. Yes,
Troy
sir.
knows everybody. Like, we talk about stuff and it's like, oh yeah, I know him. And you're not a name dropper, but I mean, your list of people that you
I want to honor people that I've learned from.
You have a big list of people that you have a relationship with and people that, these are some key players in all different industries, and you capitalize on the fact of nurturing these relationships, building them. And, you've had some amazing things happen from those relationships. So let's talk for a second about who helped you in your journey as you've gone along Troy Aberle's life. Are there significant people that were key players in helping you rise to where you're at now? We all rise together. We all help each other. Who are some of those people that were a really big part of your story?
Number one person is my wife, Robbie. Yeah. Because there's those days where she might not be the famous person and have accolades written all over walls and whatnot. But no matter what, there's a person that did one thing for me that I'm really proud of. And you take a look at, you've been around a lot of people speaking, and I'm really infatuated with becoming a better speaker.
You're a really good speaker too. You are incredible. Those of you who haven't heard Troy speak.
I've had to learn. Thank you. And I'm learning and trying to get better with that. Now, the part that I find interesting is about, they say around 95, 97% of people aren't a product of the product. My wife keeps me grounded to make sure that I am completely calibrated. We drift, and especially men, there's shiny objects, there's things that are going on. But when I set a goal, we're a very goal oriented family. So when
Mhm.
we set a goal and I get in a place of fear, my wife will ask, are you in a place of faith or fear? And are you
Mm.
doing what you actually preach and say? Make sure that every day you are doing that exactly to a T. Because when you drift away and you accommodate someone else's perspective or opinion, now you're not a product of the product. And now you start to become unaligned with what you really truly said you were going to do. And you drift off really quickly. You become unattractive to your partner, your spouse, your children, your friends, and they start to see somebody who's a great actor or actress.
Hmm.
And now you become, so I would say the person who listens really well and coaches me and keeps me calibrated is my wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. See, now as you're listening to this, you're watching this, you'd be like, okay, that's amazing, and I can echo that. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I was just having a conversation with Jennifer today earlier this morning, and it was kind of similar to what, and so Jennifer and I always joke, and actually, Troy, so when Jennifer and I are having some of these deep conversations and whatnot, I kind of look at her and go, this is a show. She's like, what do you mean? And then so what? Basically, we should just record this and like turn this into a podcast. And so many times her and I are talking, and she looks at me and she's like, this is a show. Or I look at her and go, this is a show. And we're like, yeah, this is a great subject. We should record this. So guess what? So no one even knows this. I didn't even talk to this about yet, but we have the logo, and it's called This Is It. So Jennifer and I are starting a podcast. Spoiler alert. Either by the time you're watching this or listening to this, maybe it will be out, maybe it will be coming out. But Jennifer and I are starting a podcast together called This Is a Show with Jennifer Vos and Christopher Vos. And we're just going to talk about being parents, talk about being married, the entrepreneur journey. So maybe that would be kind of fun. Does Robbie ever do interviews? Does she ever get on camera? Have you ever been able to get her to do anything?
She's usually the quieter one, and it's not done on purpose or by any stretch of the imagination. Because I too do believe that as you're changing these paradigms for your family, we get often asked questions. I jokingly say, and I don't mean it as a total joke, but I have a dad who's younger than me because I have the other two people that help me rise, which is my two boys. Luke is very good at keeping me organized and aligned with what it is that I'm doing and saying,
Love that.
right? So he follows very well, and same with Everett. And so it the biggest audience that I have is three people, and that I worry the most about, because if I do exactly what works for them, the rest of it all comes together like magic. And that's what leads to a blessed life for me.
So you think about what a choice, his wife, his two sons, and if you've never had an opportunity to meet these boys, I mean, they're doing incredible things. And it's been really fun to see their growth and their journey. And I know that when um, people like Mark Victor Hansen, or, when guys like this meet Luke and Everett, they're like, these boys are incredible. And I mean, that's something that you talk about, how they have helped you, and also they have helped other people too as well, inspiring people, because at such a young age they're strong entrepreneurs, like running. I mean, Luke has his own thing that he's doing, and I know that Everett has his things that he's doing. So it's really cool. Your family is very refreshing. It's well rounded, and you guys literally, as a family unit, you guys are rising together and you all help each other. And so I'm really glad that you're bringing out this part about family and how important families can help us rise together. Troy, let me ask you this question. How important is it for people to focus on those that they can collaborate with, those that can help, like focusing on building relationships with people that can help them rise to where they want to go? Because a lot of people spend a lot of time thinking, how can I do this? How can I do this? How can I accomplish this? And I want people to shift that mindset to, you know, who can I find to help me accomplish this? Who can I collaborate? Who can I build a relationship with to help fill some of those spots in my journey, in my business, in my training, in my skill set? how important it is, in your opinion. What are your feelings on that, on building relationships and finding those that can help us rise to where we need to go?
I think it's a 15 out of 10 importance, Chris. And what it is I think it's being transparent with something that Bob Proctor had taught me, is really understanding where you're going, what is your true goal, your dream.
Mm-hmm.
When you get that part figured out, are the things that you would love to achieve in your life. And, no matter, don't think of the how, but think of, what it just the outcome is, and embrace that feeling. What does it sound like to celebrate the day that you were able to climb a mountain, or learn a new language, achieve a certain level of income, or, have a company that exits with a certain ROI. I think when you can think about what that day feels like, what does it taste like, smell like, feel like, everything that, just really embrace that moment. Now take that result and share that, write it down and share it with your family, and say, what, I did this. And I'd love to hear what you guys would want to do too, for your own self. Don't worry about me, and don't worry about the cost or the challenge. Just what would be a cool feeling, and explain the moment. Because now tie that in with Tony Robbins. There's two things here I want to share. So Tony said the ultimate, like the formula for happiness, is when your life condition equals your blueprint. Well, you can change both. It's an algebra thing where you can change the life condition, yes, to match the blueprint. But what if you don't know what your blueprint is? Well, your blueprint happens to be really based on this emotion of what you want as an outcome. So now if you want to climb a mountain, or you want to build a business, but you're not doing anything in your life that has anything to do with that, and all you have is excuses, well, you're going to suffer, because now you're torn. So what you're doing is you're proclaiming to the world on a piece of paper and to yourself, my life looks good in 5 years from now, because here's what my outcome is. And that's who I truly feel like I'm blessed with as my blueprint. Now go out to the rest of the world and start sharing with people, I want to achieve this, and I want to just know. And I say, Mr.Vos, I really want to create this. And you say to me, well, that's really cool, Troy. And I say, but first of all, what do you want to create? Well, I've never thought of that before. And now I make you feel good, because now you can think about that, and I can give you that homework, not as a coach, just as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I could ask all 9 of your children. You could ask Jennifer, and put all that together, and I could have quite a beautiful conversation. Now I can say, who here has heard something at this table that they know of other people that could help me get to there? And now you start to collaborate, and you start to have this talk, and you focus on that every day. Put it in your phone. What am I doing now that in my life condition? What are my actions or my thoughts that are going to get me to my goal? Am I talking to people that are going to prevent it or pursue it? And that's what you really want to focus on. So having those relationships with people who want to see you win is going to be massive. Don't look for there's enough people out there that don't want to see you win. And it's not that they're being mean. It's now you go to a different level than them. And so I always say to people, if you want the biggest house in the block, you can either build the biggest house with people around you, or you can just burn down the rest of the neighborhood and leave yours standing. Right? And so the thing is it's way more fun in relationships to figure out how to build the entire neighborhood of big houses and wins. There's enough other people out there. So you got to figure out, who am I surrounded with? What has my goal been put out in place? And have I asked and offered other people to share theirs, so that we can unify and talk about this collectively? You will build a relationship so much deeper, because now people see it as a win, as a team, not just a showboat or a competition.
Talking about your blueprint and making sure that you have your blueprint and getting clear about that and having that down. One of the things we talk about all the time, when you and I have had conversations, and people ask this all the time, well, who do I go after? Like, meaning go after, like, who should I go build a relationship with? Who should I send a gift to? Who should I send a note to? Who should I reach out to? And one thing you've been really good about, and you just hit on that, is when you have that blueprint, when you know where you're going, then you know the people that you want to go build that relationship with. Like you just said, who do you surround yourself with? And you look at some of the really big successful people, that are really happy, they have surrounded themselves with people that have helped elevate them to get them, people that have been to the time of Mount Everest will help others get up there.
Yeah.
But it's like, are you climbing Mount Everest, or are you climbing K2, or where is it that you're going? And so I love the fact that you touched on, to be clear on where you want to go. You do a really good job at helping people do that. I mean, I know that you do this on a daily basis. I mean, you're doing this all the time, helping individuals and businesses get clear on that blueprint. You do that 24/7. I mean, that's a big focus for you right now, isn't it?
It is, because we look at like auditing, and I'm going to tie a piece in with how you've helped me, Chris, because it's one thing that I can go to a company or an executive and find out, what the outcome or the goal is of their team. I also then need to identify the people who are going to be my dream client, as Chet Holmes had taught me. Who is my dream client? And I also added a piece. I'm also looking for my non-dream client, because it's easy to get squirreled and shiny object. And so I need to stay very clear on that person. Now, when the next part is looking at the emotional needs of those people that are my dream client, because it's an emotional attachment I want to build so that we can have deeper conversation and do business together. So when I look at it, I can look and assume things, but I can't. For instance, when I took your ROR program, and I look, and it's being able to study then a client on everything about them at every detail and level. Now, when I have conversation about them, I can relate to them much quicker, because I know what sports they play. I know what makes them happy or sad. I can tell often if they're a person of what faith or none, what political team that they're going along with. I can see who's in their circles and the people that are networking with them. So I can actually see a lot of that by studying them using your method. When I can get to that part, now I can start to look at messaging and sales techniques and strategies and innovation, and putting all that together in the audit that I do for companies. But it's when you have that relationship with people that's going to get there. And you have to know the outcome before going and targeting somebody to pursue a business transaction with, or send them a gift, or do any of that. What is the outcome? And does that person align with actually helping me achieve my goal? Because if it's just simply to just reach out to people or hope that connections work, that's not going to work. It's you having that emotional connection that's going to be the most important.
Stephen Covey always talks about begin with the end in mind.
Yes,
know who that is. And I mean, it's okay to have this great network of amazing friends, but when you're trying to rise, when you're like, okay, I need to go here, how am I going to get there? Who do I need to help me get there? And me and you both know that there's a lot of people that don't have that clear blueprint. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what their goals are. They don't know what they're focusing on. And so they're out there kind of like a submarine in the Pacific Ocean, pinging their radar out into this gigantic space out there, and better versus knowing, okay, here's where I'm going. And that's one thing that I've been fortunate about. That's the whole reason why I started this podcast, is I want people to understand that, the name of the show isn't I Rise, it's We Rise. And so I love the fact that you touched on that, having a blueprint, and then who you're circling yourself around with. When you've got someone a lot of people listen to this podcast, they watch this, that are just starting out. We do have people that are in midstream of their journey. And then we got people that also are maybe a little bit further along and closer to kind of arrived at that destination, maybe where they're at. What advice would you give them to do a better job, or how can they better build relationships with people so they can rise to where they need to go? Like, what are some advice that you would give them today, if you could speak to them? Because you are.
Well, I think there's three types of business owners today that I've really been able to identify. And one is a person who's in a place of growth, meaning they're growing their own business. They might be starting out, or they might already have been operating, and they just bought into a business, or maybe they're purchasing and doing acquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's a person that's growing. The second one is the person who needs to recalibrate. The business, has changed. There's new technologies, new things that are happening, and it's not that the business is dying. It's just that it needs to recalibrate before it gets into a place that it can't get back out of. It needs to pivot, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is a business that's needing to set up for exit. Now, I honestly believe that most companies should not have the same leader more than 15 years. You start to look at some of the numbers, and even if it's someone who started out when they're 20, when they hit 35, they're onto a new chapter. Honestly, they're starting to get there. But most businesses don't sell. About 65%, in fact, just simply liquidate or shut down in the United States and in Canada. And so when we look at this opportunity, we can see how things burn out and whatnot. And I think that's where we need to be more aware of the relationships that are in our own inner circle. Because within our cell phone, if we actually put out to the world that we're looking to grow, we need more staff, we need more acquisition opportunities. And if we put that out there, people now that are in part 3 can say, I want out. Why don't you buy me? Right? And now we have a perfect, beautiful transition. The second thing that you can do is now looking at your own internal employees and saying, where do you guys and your customers, where do you guys see us? You love working with me or us. Where do you think I should recalibrate? I mean, imagine if Sears and Kodak would have had this conversation internally to find out that they needed to recalibrate and listen to their own team, right? And then we can recalibrate and position that differently. AI isn't going to destroy the world and take away jobs unless you accommodate where AI is taking our economy and our position in the economy. And so, now you might need to change a few things. Yes, you might reposition some people. So you're recalibrating, just as an example. Now, for the person who wants to exit, there's nothing worse than trying to exit and feeling helpless to do it. So build your business up as strong as it can and look for the people who are in the market for buying, or your children or other staff that can help you exit, and we can transition them out of there. So at the end of the day, open up your phone book. Amanda Holmes used to, do this on stage with when we were working together, is look in your phone. Who does or does not know what it is that you do and what your goals and your hopes and your dreams are? Because when we have those conversations, much more clear of where we are, now it's not just, man, I wish one day I could do that, or how come that person's doing that? I need to put it out there and communicate with the people that are right in my own inner circle of how we can work together. Don't look for people across the country. Look for people that are within you, your own network already. Put it out there first, and you'll start to find out that now having more involvement with the people you already have at your hand that already know, love, and trust you are going to actually be able to help you. So that's where those relationships, I think, impact 3 different types of business owners today, Chris.
Yeah, what you just said, like I just saw microphones dropping. Troy Aberle dropped the mic. No, people, I think the biggest mistake that people do is they wait. It's like, well, I'm going to wait till this is ready, or I'm going to wait till this, or I'm going to wait till that. And what you just touched on, have that network, have that inner circle of people, and have that relationship with them so that they understand what it is that you do so they can help you. And then when that opportunity arises, you can pounce on it, because people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And in order to get to the point to be able to tell somebody, you said this, if they understand what your dreams are, what your goals are, what you're trying to do, what your business is about, they're not going to give you the time of day. They're not going to spend the time to get to know what you are doing until, the adage, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That really key individual, build that relationship with them. Then you can rise together, because that person, like you said, understands what your blueprint is, what your goals are, where it is that you want to go. How many times, Troy, has this happened to you? I know it's happened to me, where you get a phone call from a person, you get a DM from a person, you get a text message from a person. There's a dear friend of mine that was on a power walk one day, had his rucksack on. He was out, he was doing his 5 miles. And I got a Voxer message, audio message that said, Christopher, I'm out on my walk and I got this really great idea that I think you can implement in your business. Troy, this is a guy that charges hundreds of thousands of dollars for his time if you're going to get coached by him and get business advice. But he was thinking of me while he was on his walk, and he called and gave me an idea. So that ties into exactly what you're saying, that you'll drop into people's minds and they'll reach out to you and say, hey, I got this idea. That's happened to you, I'm sure.
Yeah, to add to that, I think a lot of times in relationships, when we look past the people that we have access to,
Mm-hmm.
we focus on the people we don't. Now, I'll just say Tony Robbins. People would love to be around Tony,
Mm-hmm.
but Tony's a real busy guy. Let's be super clear about the type of people that he only has time to work with. He has dream clients and non-dream as well, as I say. But Tony's a great idea planter. So he plants out what the industry is doing. What are the demands and the challenges and the opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Tony's not the guy you call to say, hey, well, help me through this. I'm a startup business. You're not going to get a result. But if you like what Tony's talking about, write down the things that you loved what he said and find someone who also believes in what Tony's doing and has actually taken some ideas and put it into action. And then find out, because they're the ones that are going to admit whether they screwed up or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you look at that person. So what I'm saying is, don't look for the shiny object. There's people that work underneath those people that have more access and that are more applicable because you're actually their ideal client. Right? So now stop looking for the flag. Look for the base that's holding up the flag. And that's all of the other coaches or mentors or students, disciples, whatever you want to call that, of those people. It's much like church. You go to see the pastor, right, to talk about things that God planted out, right? Or, people go to their governor or their senator for what the president is talking about. So you're looking for the people who actually can impact you and get emotional about you, because that's what's going to move you the furthest, fastest. And then, to tie one last piece to this, go tell your family of everything that we just talked about. You see, when I sit down and we have our recalibration meeting on a Sunday, I tell Luke and Everett and Robbie exactly what I'm doing, what I hope to do after I've heard what they want to do for the week, because now we can help align each other. Now there isn't such a thing as a work-life balance. Don't live in a place where you feel guilty. Live in a place where we rise together attitude. Because now when you go out on a Monday morning, you're not worried, oh man, I'm not going to be home till late. No, you've already planned it. You've already shared it. Don't worry about what you're not doing enough of, and get excited about what you can do to make your life condition equal that blueprint. And that's what's going to start to attract a much different energy and vibration. And if your family is not interested in what you do, that's fine. Be more interested in what they do more often. And at some point they will turn around. I've watched this with a lot of my clients. And then now you work great together and you honor each other and you make sure you spend time with each other. You book time. Otherwise, why would you be a parent or a husband or wife? That's your role. But the more you find these right people in this thing and everybody rises together, as you've called this, Chris, you're going to have a network and an ecosystem in your life that feels like you are aligned with what it is you were meant to do.
I love the constant talk about alignment. And you brought up a really good point about, when we help people come to us with a list of like, I want to be connected with these people. Okay, these are great. These are important. To have a relationship with a celebrity or an influencer won't hurt you in the long run, but that's going to take longer. That's going to be, so you said maybe Tony Robbins is in the focus, but somebody that's lower down is a focus. And so I love that you said that, because we encourage people, let's focus on some really high profile individuals you're trying to build a relationship with that can help you rise together. But then also let's look at some people that are here or some people that are here, because, it kind of like, so over Christmas break, my son set me up on a resistance training program. Spencer was home. He's going to college to be a personal trainer. And, I wanted to add weights to my, Troy, I've lost a lot of weight and gotten healthier, but I need to start doing resistance training. And we didn't go in there and put the biggest plates. I wasn't doing these, I don't know what he called them, Hungarian lifts. I don't know. It's that you reach down and you pick it up and you stand up and you go back down. I didn't put 5 of the largest plates on there. There's no way in the world I could have done it. We put on small ones. We're working our way up. So I'm glad you brought that up, because some people get discouraged in this journey of rising together and finding people to help you rise together. Well, it's taken longer, or this person's not responding to me. Those take longer, but I love the fact that you brought up, focus on that inner circle, build that network of people that will help you get and work your way up to those people. So that's really super key. I love that. Troy, it's so great to be friends with you and to be able to associate with you and to be able to work on business together. I'm so glad that you were able to come here to We Rise Together. Troy Aberle and Christopher Vos, we definitely have risen together, and you've been there for me. And I honestly can say this journey that I've been on with doing return on relationship, all the things I'm working on, you've been a really big part of helping me rise. And so I just want to say, I'm super grateful for you.
No, and I love impressing you. And so you're in that inner circle. And so, you think about just you and I, Chris, you can help me research and help understand the clients that I'm working with or what my clients are working with. But it's funny, you mentioned Spencer. I have access to some really world-class bodybuilders. But the funny thing is, Spencer, it's going to take me a lot more time and a lot more work and a lot more money to go see, because they're at a different level. So Spencer's in dang good shape. So why would I not call him and say, hey, Spencer, jump on a Zoom call. Tell me a price, be my coach. You've already proved what works and what doesn't. What can we do? Here's my goal. I want this. And boom, now we're done. So I think it's more about look in your inner circle today. Find out what their goal is and how you can help them. Get them then to say, well, what about you? And you'll start to see this reciprocity that comes around. And you start really rising together at a very uniform level that's going to feel really good. And make sure to encourage people to include their entire family, and be proud of the journey that they're on. Don't look for what you're not doing. Celebrate what you have been.
I love the fact you come back to involve your family. Like, there's so many people that rise to where they're at, and then they rise without their family, and they get there and they don't have their family. And what do you have if you get there and you don't have your family? So I love the fact that you brought that back in. That's super key. And people, it's a lot easier. If someone has 1,000 people, an influencer has like a couple thousand people versus someone that has 1 million, the effort it's going to take to build a relationship with that person with a smaller audience, or not that, it makes me think of, when you were saying that, Troy, I was thinking of someone that I interviewed here on the podcast. They were in the inner circle with, a lot of people know who Alex Hermosi is. He's got acquisition.com. He's a pretty big business guy doing incredible things and coaching and stuff. This person was in the mastermind with him when they were all just starting out. So you speak of this little intimate group that you have of people. Well, as you rise together, you all help each other. So it's so important to establish that group now. Those people you can go to, the people that you can count on, and those people can count on you. So thank you so much for being here on We Rise Together. Closing thoughts you want to, before we wrap things up, what's a little closing thought to put you in the hot seat that you can say to someone about how important it is to build relationships so that we can rise together? Give us a closing thought on that as we wrap things up.
I'd say the more you give to the clarity of your own relationship with yourself and your life today and where you're going, the more respect you give it, the more you write it down, the more you focus on it and celebrate it and honor it. Live in a place of faith, not fear, as my wife would say. It would be the first thing. And then go grab your phone, look through the contacts, take a look at the relationships you're having now today, and just say, I'm just curious. When you were 15, 16 years old, what was it you always wanted to do? What changed? Have you been able to achieve it? Is there something that we could do together that would only take minutes now? Because before maybe you had no money or access to people. I don't know. But go find out how you can help other people rise. And I promise you, you will help contribute to their six human needs in such a way you'll fulfill your own, and you'll show up as a better man or woman in front of your family and team because of how much you're caring about what other people, how they're rising. That'll help you rise your own self in your own life and change that frequency.
That little tidbit that you just said, that is the sound bite. That's the teaser reel to this whole episode. What you just said, that was amazing. Troy, you're incredible.
You're incredible, Chris. So thank you.
You're changing people's lives. You're changing people's businesses. Your family and you are rising together. Thank you so much for being here. Everyone that's watching, everyone that's listening, thank you so much for being here. Like I said in the beginning, if it's your first time, come back and join us. If you're back again, it's so grateful to see you back here. We're going to continue to interview more people and talk about how important it is that we rise together, because when we do that, it's a game changer. Everything changes in your life. Everything changes in your business. And as a parting word, take a little lesson from Troy today. Get your blueprint. Know where you're going so that you can go out and you can find the people that are going to help you rise to where that blueprint is pointing and what you're building. Thanks for being here again, Troy. Take care, everybody.
One last thought. There's a PPS here. Chris, you're actually doing everything. Christopher Voss, you're doing everything that I have already explained. You've looked at your Rolodex and the relationships of people you have, and you're including them and celebrating what they're doing. And it's an honor to be on here. And I love listening to the other people who have been here before and after me. But what you're doing is you're already helping people, ordinary people, rise and highlighting their success and their achievement. And that is already giving that impression of increase and frequency, because almost every single person that's been on this show, I know, is going to offer to do something nice for you. And so as we promote each other and we work together, that's what this whole premise of ROR and Rise together is going to be about. Chris, you're already doing it, so congratulations. This is an example of looking at how to help other people celebrate a rising lifestyle. Go do the same thing in your own community. So thank you very much, Christopher Voss. What you're doing is incredible. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's awesome. All right. We'll see everybody back here on our next episode. Take care, everybody.